Comes to homosexuality, the Torah does say specifically in the book of Leviticus that a man shall not lie with a man as with a woman. So it is in the category of prohibited relationships. It also prohibits other types of relationships in Torah between marriage between family members. There are laws governing who the priests could marry. It also prohibits Israelites from marrying outside of their race. So the Torah says, "Thou shalt not marry Moabites," for instance. And this is a good example, because although the Torah says, "Thou shalt not marry a Moabite," this is my son Levi.
Hey, Levi.
That the book of Ruth is about a Moabite woman. And so this is an example of a prohibited relationship, right? For which a person could have been killed. So you have an earlier story of a man who is killed for being with a woman of a different race. And so the question became, then why did God choose this prohibited relationship to be the family from which King David, King Solomon, and we believe the Messiah will eventually come from the house of David, right? And so the traditional rabbinic interpretation, at least within our community, is that what God is looking at is the state of one's heart. And even though by accident of birth, Ruth was not born into this way of life, and the Torah actually says a Moabite shall not enter the temple, right? She'll never be able to come in because she loved God. That became more important than the facts of how she was born. And so that's the kind of lesson that you do have laws, but there is God's will and how it is revealed to us over time.
Leviticus is pretty solid in stating that it's an abomination.
Right. Well, I think the only area for broader interpretation is when it says that, it doesn't refer to, as in the Sodom and Gomorrah example, forced sodomy, right? Or does it include consensual? And I think even gay people would not approve of forced, relations of people who do not consent, right? So that's, I think, is the only question that could be open to interpretation. Does Levitical law refer or include to consensual relationships between adults, or does it prohibit the rape of a man? Haven't been requested, and it hasn't come up in our board. We have what's called the Israelite Board of Rabbis, which is separate from the New York Board of Rabbis. We're our own autonomous board, and these decisions in terms of interpretation of Torah law would be decided in a Beit Din, which is I think how all law has been interpreted.
Interesting.
Right, and so it would require a Beit Din discussion where all sides of an issue are put forward, people thought about it, positions are made, and then a written ruling is issued. Now, I know other communities that have done this already, in the Reform movement, in the conservative movement, in the Orthodox movement, where they have. We haven't. It hasn't come up